screen and we'll get going. You can see my screen, Vijay?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So let me start with something that you may have seen or may have known about this incident, but it's just a couple of minutes, but just to set the context. Vijay, are you able to hear the audio? Because I'm not sure whether I clicked at the audio. No.
Okay. Yeah, we do not hear because you have to share the sound. There is an option. If you click on share screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
1 second, I'll just do that. Sorry about that. Is it okay now?
Cactus 1539 hit birds. We've lost thrust on both engines, returning back towards LaGuardia.
Okay, you need to return to LaGuardia. Turn left heading up 220.
220.
Tower, stop your departures. Got emergency returning. Who is it? It's 1529. He bird strike. He lost all engine. He lost the thrust in the engines. He's returning immediately.
Cactus 1529. Which engines?
He lost thrust in both engines. He said.
Got it.
Cactus 1529. We can get it for you. Do you want to try to land runway 13?
We're unable. We may end up in the Hudson.
All right, Cactus 1549. It's going to be left traffic to runway 31.
Unable.
Okay, what do you need to land? Cactus 1549. Runway 4 is available if you want to make left traffic to runway 4.
I'm not sure we can make any runway. What's over to our right? Anything in New Jersey? Maybe Teterboro?
Okay, yeah, off your right side is Teterboro Airport. Do you want to try to go to Teterboro?
Yes.
Teterboro, Empire, actually LaGuardia departure guy, emergency inbound.
Hey, guys.
Cactus 1529 over the George Washington Bridge, wants to go to the airport right now.
Wants to go to our airport. Check. Does he need assistance?
Yes, it was a bird strike. Can I get him in for runway 1?
Runway 1, that's good.
Cactus 1529, turn right 280, you can land runway 1 at Teterboro.
We can't do it.
Okay, which runway would you like at Teterboro?
We're going to be in the Hudson.
Okay, so I'll pause here and just wanted some quick reaction in terms of what do we experience here. Here's a pilot, and as some of you would know the incident, the flight landed in Hudson Bay, perhaps the only incident where the aircraft landed and everyone survived. And typically in any, there are many jobs. Some of the jobs are more difficult than others. A pilot's job or an air traffic controller's jobs are often considered to be more difficult than others. And so what's your observation?
This is impeccable emotional stability. Like the way they were talking as if like everything is normal.
Yes. And this is where I start, because every one of us at some point or other will face a situation where we have an imminent crisis or danger, as you call it. And my perspective is, when do you feel closer to God?
When we pay a mosque.
In a situation like this, obviously you'll feel closer to God in more sense than one. And when are you at the edge to perform? When you are your best. And if you run for your life, let's say a dog, and if you're a dog lover, then let's say tiger chasing you, would you run with your optimum capacity, or would you outdo whatever you thought is your optimum capacity? And when you are faced with these situations, that's where there is a particular attitude that I kind of have always admired and looked up to, is that there are always going to be people who will give reasons, and there are always going to be people who will talk about despite and not because attitude. So So situation will be what they are, but then how do you navigate from there? So this is how I look at any crisis. This is how I would personally like to believe that whenever you face a crisis, how do you deal with it? Now, just another way of looking at it, but I thought, and all of you may be familiar with this, but I'm just trying to connect some of these dots. So how does the brain work? And as you know, this is the triune brain theory, and we all know that the reptilian brain or the lizard brain uh, is the one which is the oldest for many millions of years. And in a crisis, it's always the fight or flight. And the balance, and as you know, that human beings are the only ones who are blessed with these three-parted brains. How do you bring the human to the fore, or how do you use your human brain to the maximum and not these two, or not, but definitely not the reptilian brain, which always looks for fight or flight. And that's where bring to this famous quote, never let a good crisis go to waste. And always remembering that, I now come to the Nielsen story. So what was the crisis for us? Like anyone else, it's an economic crisis, a people crisis. Ours is a market research company. And because a market research company typically has a lot of work that is done through people response, which is on the ground, field surveys, and with markets being closed for over 3 months, at least in India and many other markets across the globe, it means our work comes to a standstill, literally standstill. More so in India, I'll not go to the specific because the type of country India is. There are specific nuances which are within the Nielsen word makes us even more prone to such a crisis. So how did we start? There are certain core values that we have always followed, which is open and transparent. And it's my personal reflection that during a crisis, some will lead and others will follow. And it will always be the case. And those who can, they should take the lead, take the initiative. And as we all know, during the crisis, there could be times where it's more direction than participation. And depending on the situation, it will have to be applied. And that's what we did. And then one area that everyone looks for is assurance and hope, because ours is a company that is heavily dependent on people. Those human capital are our only asset. We don't own any other assets. And these are the times that the first and foremost was that how we value our people and how do we appreciate them. And during the first 3-4 weeks itself, we realize how it has led to increased engagement and productivity. People started looking for different ways that we can be useful to our clients, staying together and rallying in tough times. And people started volunteering for initiatives and showing agility. Now, just to give you a few seconds of what made it difficult. So India typically is a traditional trade market, and I'm referring to how our so contrary to what we may like to believe, that with the influx of modern format stores like Big Bazaar, DMart, Amazon, India still is considered to be or is a traditional trade market, which means 90% of our business is still dependent on those kirana stores that that are dotted across the country, and those were impacted the most. And that's where those are our channel of data collection. Similarly, for certain other studies, we need to depend on people's response, and those are usually involving interviews, focus groups, or one-on-one, or administering questionnaire. Again, all those were completely impacted. So in a time like this, we needed agility to find out newer ways of collecting data, newer ways of taking respondent feedback, and that's where our team started focusing on. So some of these challenges I've talked about, but then look at the market scenario. If you look at it, this is only other experience that we have had probably 100 years ago of Great Depression, where the whole world was impacted, and lockdown, it continued across the globe. key clients were also impacted. South Asia, as I told you, that it's a specific type of market. And what we decided is that since it's a people company, we have to take safety first, and we stopped all our operations right before the lockdown. Rather, there were some opportunities. We had the opportunity for accelerating transformation, which means 2 years of work could be done in 2 months. There were opportunities in FMCG because come what may, but FMCG sector will always remain applicable. Many people will have to be dependent on the goods that are supplied by FMCG industries. Telecom, obviously, because of the need for internet and communication, was relevant, and so was media. Our productivity engagement, as I mentioned, went up, led into invention and creation. And we also started rethinking as to ours has always been a very flexible work culture. People have always been working from home or utilizing flexi time, and that's not new. It's been there for more than 10 years. But still, this was an opportunity for us to rethink, especially the real estate space. And then around June, we restarted our operations, and there were reflections from the past. It's not that in the past we have not seen a business crisis, which is more financial in nature. And each of those times we reminded ourselves and our associates that we came up with a plan and we saw the results. In the past, performance of our company has dipped, but we went up again. And here I'm referring to more India or South Asia. And in 2020, when the unprecedented has hit us, we will make our plan, and we'll look to build the story again. And the show goes on, whether it's leadership, clients outreach, brand equity, our connects with the CEO, because clients would always need a company like ours in difficult times more than ever. Accelerated digitization, transformation, many things, employee connects, and so on. And by putting people first, we did many things. Some of those were more in the fun nature, and doing things like Chai Pe Charcha, bringing our leaders even closer to our associates and or our employees, showing their vulnerable side, showing their real self, and these kind of sessions were done, keeping them excited and engaged through some challenges, competition. Nothing unusual. Many companies have done that. We also did it. What we did really well, which we are quite proud of, is reaching out to everyone. So within the first 2 months itself, we had probably covered about 80% of our people, and these were all mostly one-on-one sessions, some group sessions, but mostly one-on-one. So making sure that everyone is spoken to, a specific focus on those who are living alone, because the lockdown per se was a surprise to many, and as a result, many employees were left stuck, and some of them, or many of them, were single or living alone. And many other companies have this employee assistance program. We also have, and we use them to focus on emotions. And this was an add-on and not the only option. We were there first, and we made sure that our managers were available for reaching out to people who were facing difficult times at home. And then we over-indexed on this time, because there was initial few weeks where there was not much of work happening, and that is the time that was capitalized for running as many training programs as possible, again with the idea of keeping people engaged and also imparting newer skills. And transparency, which means you did many sessions like Ask Us Anything, and this is a slide that I picked up from May. So it says 2, though by this time we would have done many more. And again, these are just a few bullet points that I have more from what HR specifically was doing, or what we were doing to make sure that our employees remain the fulcrum and the center of everything that we do, and we take care of them. And at the same time, we kept the client on our focus, doing client connects, brand connects, ensuring business continuity, and remaining client focused. So where do we go from here? And again, few more learnings. Crisis, and we have dealt head on. That's the best way. And as this clip that I will show you from the movie Kung Fu Panda, one often meets his destiny on the road she or he takes to avoid it. And there are many amongst us. We sometimes, nobody likes to see a crisis. Nobody likes to be in a difficult time, but life is like that. We have to. And let's see. This might be just a couple of minutes long. So yeah, it's just about fun.
Master Oogway, you summoned me. Is something wrong?
Why must something be wrong for me to want to see my old friend?
So, nothing's wrong?
Well, I didn't say that.
You were saying?
I have had a vision. Tai Lung will return.
That is impossible. He is in prison.
Nothing is impossible.
Zeng! Fly to Chalgum prison and tell them to double the guards, double their weapons, double everything. Tai Lung does not leave that prison.
Yes, Master Shiva!
One often meets his destiny on the road he takes to avoid it.
We have to do something. We can't just let him march on the valley and take his revenge. He'll...
Your mind is like this water, my friend. When it is agitated, it becomes difficult to see. But if you allow it to settle, the answer becomes clear.
The Dragon Scroll.
It is time.
But who? Who is worthy to be trusted with the secret to limitless power?
So here the point is that, and this could happen to us as individuals, this could happen to our companies, it could happen to our families. And this is where it connects back to the Tune brain theory or brain model. The only way to deal with it is by remaining calm. The other example that I showed, which was the flight to the Hudson Bay, the example of air traffic controller and the pilot, the only way, and probably one of the only examples of a flight landing in river and still everyone surviving is by remaining calm and thinking clearly and thinking carefully. So moving on, and this is another part that that is close to me and my own learning over the years, that when it comes to culture, what matters is the say-do ratio. So what I say is what I do, and what I do is what I say. And when people see an incongruence over there, that's where the whole issue starts. So it's not just saying that people first. I think I'm not the only one who will say that people are the most critical assets for any company. We say it, many other companies do it. Many other companies might say that people first, but do I demonstrate through action? And this is where I'm picked this up from a CEB study. When it comes to culture, it's the role modeling that is important. And so what leaders say, communicating the importance of culture, behaving, leaders' personal behavior is consistent with the culture, and operating, even more important, leaders manage processes based on the culture, and everything reflects with that philosophy. And this particular research was seen that when it came to talking about culture, almost everyone is bang on, because everybody loves to talk and everyone says the right thing. But when it comes to behaving, it's 29%. When it comes to operating, even less. And look at the impact on workforce culture alignment, because if this is what you do, this is the kind of impact you will have. If you only keep saying why culture is important, why certain things are important, it will have the most or minimum impact. If you at least behave in some way, then there is certain impact. But then if you operate, that will always lead to the maximum impact. Unfortunately, that's where everything goes wrong, because People are able to see through people. It's a world where we have many intelligent people and they will see through. And any crisis, and this might apply for any other time also, but during a crisis, you will have to call out what is the above the line behavior and what is the below the line behavior. And even during the crisis, unfortunately, what happens is people still tolerate and what should not be tolerated even in the normal time. And that's where culture impacts, and that's where organizations suffer, individuals suffer. Coming back, for any organization, focus is always going to be the three basic business goals. Revenue growth, important for any company. Clients, because you exist for your clients and your people. And then, of course, the third part, talent, which is your people. So these are the two pillars. It's people on both sides. On one side is client, the other side is your own people or your own talent. And if those inputs are in control, you are heavily invested on those inputs, the outputs will happen, and which is, to me, is the revenue growth. Again, another popular research work, Gallup has done this. Gallup is, as all of you might know, that is the leading company in this area, and their research showed that there are only 4 basic needs that employees have, and this is in a normal situation: trust and honesty, compassion from leaders and managers, stability and security, and hope. Now, if you were to apply this in any situation, it will work, but in a crisis, even more so. So and to me, it could be a very simple step, that just do more of it, or at least keep doing it the same way you have done in the past. Though ideally, a little more, because little more on this side and this side will make a huge difference. But and what we have seen this year, this one has completely gone down. Compassion has gone down while people are working from home. That has also seen and been productive. Everyone knows it. Still, people are a lot more insensitive to individuals' need, privacy, and family needs. And then, as I come to the end, what the caterpillar calls the end of the word, the master calls a butterfly. And yes, I would just say that we are towards the end of November. The crisis continues, and as a company and as a people leader of the company, I would only hope that situation becomes better as we progress. And even legends have a comeback story, and we are trying to write ours together with our people. With that, this is all I wanted to share. I hope, yes, I'm within the 30 minutes that are given to me, and yes, I can make it open for any conversation perspective that you have, or any exchange of thoughts that you may want to be.
Thank you so much, sir. This was amazing, like in the sense that, and as you know, expected, you managed it within the time limit very nicely, and you covered all the point, highlighting the important point. And like that pilot, you were nowhere in hurry. Nothing was wavering. So that's amazing. Yeah. So now the floor is open for questions. There is one question in the chat from Satish, which I would like to put forward. And it's basically an observation, and maybe he would look for your observation on that, which is, it is often said that culture eats strategy for breakfast. And what Satish's observation is that sometimes business eats culture, or business needs eat culture for breakfast. Why does it happen? Knowing that companies know that culture is important, but many times it happens. So what is your thought on that?
Yeah, so I have very clear. I think that's where I showed that CEV. So for me, culture is what you say is what you do, and what you do is what you say. As simple as that. And because that doesn't happen, you have examples of a company which is called Satyam Computers. Satyam is in their name, and what they do is cooking off the books to become financially viable. So, or for you, there are many examples of if you go and look at You can do a Google search, look at what Enron existed, what was Enron's purpose. They talk about environment, they talk about sustainability, they talk about respect and inclusion, and look at what they have done. So it's very easy to have
one of
these
the biggest destroyer of environment.
Yes, so it's very easy to have on your four walls. Wherever you walk in the office, you'll see these glorified statements. That's the easiest thing to do. What is difficult is to follow. So I would say that organizations and everyone, all of us, should first think, do I need a lofty statement or a statement that I can live with?
Thank you, sir. That leads to the second question, to live with. It's from Arindam Saha, who you know very well. Could you please share some more input on work-life spillover and the role HR department may have in this domain for all employees?
Sorry, say that again. Sorry, Vijay.
Could you please share some more inputs on work-life spillover? In your presentation, you talked about compassion.
Yes.
Yeah, and kind of.
So that was a real challenge because I think the first 3-4 weeks, nobody knew what hit them. I think, and like I said, that our company perhaps was the pioneer in terms of this work from home option, because we started doing this way back in 2007, 2008, because we did a survey in 2007 to explore how many people will opt for working from home or choosing flexi hours. And since then, it's been, ours is perhaps one of the few companies where we don't track what time a person comes and what time a person leaves. Our attendance are completely based on trust. We leave it to the managers. We don't track time. So it's the result only work environment. So even then, it wasn't easy because 100% working from home was unusual for us as well. So what happened? And it's not that we have less work. Like any other company, we also have people who work longer hours. And so I can't say that our people have a balanced life. Obviously, it's as much as or as less as other companies. So during this phase, we realized that because everyone knew that everyone else is at home, you started taking everyone else for granted, and then started calling up. So we started seeing this trend of calls being set at 8:30, 8, and going as late as 10 p.m., 11 p.m., Saturday, Sunday. And first few weeks, nobody realized what hit them, and everyone was just complying. Till such point that we realized, and thanks to these initiatives that we had, where like I said, the 15th of March is when we stopped the offices and work from home was initiated, and very soon, I think within 2 weeks, the lockdown started. And because our touch points were in place, we knew what is coming our way, and we did a simple thing. The only thing that we have done, nothing more. We tried to convey many other messages, but this one simple thing we did, which is still working very well, which is that we blocked 1 hour of lunch time. So 1 to 2. That's all, nothing else. 1 to 2, no meetings. And there was a message that went, no meeting is expected. Whether you have lunch or not, that's not important. That's a break time. No calls will be set. It's up to you, but no calls or no meeting will be set at that time. You're not expected to call. And we try to also indicate that maybe we can keep everything between a 9 to 7 kind of a time zone. We didn't have to put out any mail for that. Some pockets it worked very well. At the same time, because of our close connect with our employees, we were talking to as many. We also learned of another severe challenge. See, and this is something Government of India had introduced as a policy or statutory rule. It's like having creche for employees of the company. So many of our employees, like any other companies, have started using creche, company provided creche, that is, and some anyway do this and in their individual capacity. And then of course these are working professionals. But when this work from home started, nobody thought what happened to them, because here was a number of parents who are working professionals who are dependent on this service at home. Now they have to deal with both work, home, and children. If they come to office, they don't have to deal with the home. There may be cafeteria there, they can order in. So many options are available. and child is being taken care of by these crashes. But then work from home, that realization stuck to us within, I think, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, probably 2 weeks. I think it wasn't too long. And see, many times, and when the crisis struck, everyone becomes more responsible. Sometimes people also shy away from conveying these feelings, even if they are feeling discomfort with this kind of situation. Sometimes they also feel guilty, which is also not. But this proactive reach helped us to gather those sentiment as well. And then we started sensitizing people, because with that data was available to us. So again, a message was sent that to be flexible with such people who have been using these services. But then we made it more broad-based, and some of this also worked. Just being sensitive about it.
Thank you, sir. Just to let all other participants know, you can also unmute yourself and talk, because it is highly encouraged. It's just that if everybody unmutes at the same time, then it will be problematic. But please unmute yourself and talk. There are two more questions which I see in the chat. One is about how do you get the leadership, and I think he is referring to the top leadership. This is a question by Novici. How do you get the leadership on board with the cultural change? And basically, if I think it is also an assumption, if that the leadership is kind of not seeing the value as HR people see in the culture. So how do you get them on board?
So I don't think HR owns culture as a whole. At best, I might say, okay, custodian of culture, but ownership is often with leaders. Many a times it could be with the CEO, and depending on the type of organization. And just this morning, I was listening to a podcast of Subhash Mariwala, so of Marico's. And he's saying that most of Marico's culture is what I thought it would be, and which is very true. That apparently is coming up with this book, which it talks about a lot, so it'll be a good one to read. But then leaders decide the culture. Maybe HR is sort of a custodian for it, and this is where the journey often goes right or wrong. Who do you bring, and how do you bring, and whether you're seeing the culture fit or not. A lot of times people will come, they may not fit in, and that's where another mistakes happen, which either we don't do a proper assessment of hiring, either from an HR standpoint or from an organization standpoint. If that doesn't happen, then we tolerate for far too long. And then, of course, being an HR person, I would like to believe in possibilities, which means I will give feedback, coach, mentor, do whatever it takes. But then there are times that you have to count your losses and move on, and then how fast you can do. And this is where, if you recall, I talked about this above the line, below the line. Sometimes I find organizations, especially people organization like ours, become far too lenient, and this niceness goes to another level and then leads to low accountability. And that's where the culture again gets impacted. It's no longer the culture then. You are being too nice, and too nice doesn't mean you lower your standards.
So as I see it, it's about always maintaining that dynamic balance and always keeping on with something to kind of keep it in. So it's not like once you set it and you let it kind of.
See, culture will get sustained if you have more people who believe, think, operate in the same way. So you do that enrollment deeper and stronger. Then you bring new people and with the same philosophy, and then get them on board with the same thinking and behaving and operating. If that process continues, culture becomes deeper and deeper. If that not, then derails.
Thank you, sir. There is a question from Owen, and I would prefer he unmutes and asks.
Okay, thank you, Mahipal Nair, very much. I believe that everything rises and falls on leadership. I repeat, everything rises and falls on leadership. And COVID-19 has basically been successful in splitting our world into a pre and a post-COVID. So my question to you is that COVID-19 has been an eye-opener, and it has also tested the character of leadership. People are now thinking in many ways, the alignment with the job, their purpose, their life, their meaning. Now, assuming, it's very important, assuming that things will come to normal, will companies change their behavior as compared to pre-COVID times? And will they continue to put people, care, compassion, learning, togetherness first before profits?
Yes. So it's like, so I'll take a bit of a digression there. So like there was this point that I made so if you run and you think your speed of running was half of what you thought, and then a dog is following, like I'm scared of dogs, so if dog follows me, I will run faster than what I can imagine. But then I don't know whether I will be as fast as Usain Bolt. So Usain Bolt will be Usain Bolt if I have built the right foundation, I have built the right characteristics. So that's nothing. So I would say that, so now coming to your point, some of those stronger characteristics needs will always be important. And I think good organization will always have them, whether COVID or no COVID. They may double down on it, few things, maybe a little more, may show compassion a little more. But then I would like to believe a good behavior is a lasting behavior, irrespective of COVID or no COVID. The problem happens is because of this crisis, people panic and then lose their essential characteristic and they forget who they are. And when that happens, you see all these ups and downs in behavior, and that's where you see all this. So at the same time, I would acknowledge the fact that yes, such any crisis will bring people. Like I said, I began, when do you feel closer to the God? And the God could be within inside me, and I feel close. Definitely, I feel closer than ever before because it's a unique experience. And I again would like to believe that more organizations will wake up to this reality and make those changes which we didn't think. Like people have burnt aviation fuel to travel thousands of kilometers for needs that are fulfilled through this kind of a platform. So from an environmental sustainability, I think this has been a blessing. We have seen birds chirping and dogs barking and animals sound way higher than before in those first 2-3 months. So I just hope that people don't go back and forget everything and it becomes business as usual. So yeah, I would only say about myself, and I hope the board learns as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question from audience side? Deepak commented something in this. The pandemic has brought home the need with greater urgency, the need to manage paradoxes and the role of leader to manage these polarities of paradoxes. Yeah, true.
So, I would also say that, it's like, this black swan kind of a thing. So it's like, was this not predicted? Many other crises have been, so we just a couple of days ago, that cyclone came again, predicted for way ahead of time. And just 15 years ago, there was this cyclone in Orissa, which was so severe. There were earthquakes which are severe. All of us have that technology and know-how which is making lives better, but still there are things which will take us by surprise. And like many of you, I have also looked at and tried to research whether this crisis was predicted or not. And interestingly, there are people who have predicted. There are people who have written a book about it. And Bill Gates talked about it in 2015. Everyone knew the next crisis will be a pandemic, yet we are not prepared for it. That's the other thing that I have realized, that people will have to manage those paradoxes, but I don't know whether we will be prepared ever for a crisis like this, and whether this will happen every 100 years, whether every 10-20 years for a country. But I still strongly believe that following the basics is more important, and following the basics will guide you far better than than just doing this trend analysis, because trend analysis, if that was done very, and that's my view, trend analysis was to be done, enough data was available that something like this was to happen. Maybe scale was not predicted, but evidence was there.
Thank you. So if nobody has question, I have a lot of questions to ask. So, sir, may I start?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. So the first thing, and it is based on my interaction with professionals in the forum, is what are the some key unexpected thing that you got in the first 3 months of the crisis? Like, which were kind of unexpected learning type that, okay, oh, wow, it can be like this, or it can be like that.
From a business point of view, unexpected were quite a few. Like I hinted, because of the peculiarity of the market in Indian market, and in India, you almost never think about the economy going down. I mean, nobody would have expected. That itself was unexpected, and that's where I'm saying that no matter what trends you do, you will not expect that to happen. From people's standpoint, I would say that level of productivity and engagement that was seen, because that's where my belief in innate goodness of human being goes up, because everyone sacrificed something in the beginning, because the people just didn't know what to do, and then the only thing they knew was to keep working, because everybody could potentially see that this is a big crisis in the making. So these are the two, one on the negative side, other in the positive side. I mean, these are the two I can think top of the mind. Yes.
And like looking back at it retrospectively, like connecting the dot from by looking behind. If I ask you now, what were few things which Nielsen did right in the first few months, and which is now proving to be a good thing to have been done at that point in time?
So I would say that yes, from my standpoint, the connects with people was the best thing that we could do, and even now, when our offices still remain closed, we still continue to work from home. But those who are supposed to be on field, they are there. They are there since late May, and we are able to do this by using our data for our in-house purpose, which means we have very robust system of checking which places we can let our operations team or field team to operate. We're extremely sensitive to that. We have made enough provisions to take care of their safety. In fact, the best feedback that we get when we are talking from the field team is that when they go out in the market, they realize they are the only ones who are fully protected, unlike many other companies. And these include some of the giant deep pockets company. So that gives a very high sense of pride, that fact that we are able to take care of our people. And when it comes to that, and it's not that we have not taken harsh decisions. We have done our own pay cuts. We have had, unfortunately, had to also let go of many people. So all those were realities. We were not any different. Looking back, we wish we could have done it differently, but there was no other way, because it's like 3 months, 4 months of no business is really, really hard.
Yeah, and that too for a company which is whose core is like you don't have a Apple kind of thing where you are selling the product and people will buy it later anyway. It's like 3 month loss is 3 month loss. It's like that.
Correct. Yes. So looking back, I think those are things that have served us well. And plus, I would also like to say that, ultimately, every company exists for a purpose. We are there for our clients. And then clients, if you are closer to them, then that's another thing that is going to help us. So that helped. Of course, there was a bit of a fluctuation because there was nothing much that we can offer them as a service. So whatever data was there, we were speaking to them. We were making sure that we share our own thoughts with the media and tell them as to what do we make out of this economic crisis from media industry perspective, from FMCG, auto, and whichever industry that we are operating on. So we did increase our traction over there as well. So those are another few things that we did well.
But third, you talked about the productivity and engagement of working from home, and as a company, you witnessed that it actually increased. It was better than what pundits used to predict or what it is generally used to be said. I'm interested in knowing, and it is a question from Novici also. So thank you, Novici, that you asked it. Is what are some initiatives or some interventions which Nielsen took to improve the engagement for basically people working from home? Couple things you pointed out, like having a clear cut, let's say off hour, 1 to 2 is lunchtime and like that. What were some other things which were done?
So I had a full slide, so I'll not go back there, but maybe just I'm keeping on my side just to so see, these are also times where you could do and bring and offer some of these new things, and this is where industry has been agile, which is like we never expected that we will talk to a doctor through a phone or a WhatsApp. So there was this service that was available, telemedicine, which is something that has been the one of the best things to happen during this time. So we got that, we introduced this for our people because we knew that some of our people will have to be on the field. We did an insurance top up so that they feel safe. It's, again, I was talking about what we say and what we do. So well-being is taken care of in terms of health. So and of course, we, like I said, that there are many companies who may have allowed or opened their offices. We have not. Only the field. So the bulk of our people are still staying indoors. Then comes the financial part. Then we looked at whether we can open up the parental insurance so that kind of covers, because that was the age group that was susceptible to this crisis. We got many experts to speak. And as this crisis, obviously our employees were also falling sick, and then they got impacted by COVID. We got them to speak. So one of the best series that we run is that those who, because there was so much of initially stigma, and then
it was huge. Yes.
So we got our people to write stories or speak. So whichever they were comfortable. So there are write-ups. So what they did, completely their story as to what happened. So demystifying it, at the same time bringing experts as well, so that people know what to do at this point in time. Getting insurers to speak and making sure that information around insurance is given. Then also opening up helplines so that people can reach out to them. So one was the proactive reach out, the other was the more of a reactive reach out. And then I had also spoken about imparting skills which are needed. So, and if there were people who were available, then there was the series available, which was called Learn from Home, which continued. So that again continued, and then some fun stuff, that chai pe charcha kind, so where you bring a leader and let them show a bit of a vulnerable side or some interesting sides. So it's more of an entertainment, and each team, virtually every team, was doing that. And the most important part, that there was this COVID crisis team that met every day, including Saturday, Sunday, in the initial time. And then we cut it down, saved the weekends, and now it operates only 2 days a week, but that continued. And from a transparency standpoint, it was like you run as many Ask Me Anything sessions so that people have the platform to ask questions. And most important, giving as many forums for people to express appreciation and expressing gratitude. And we are still running a lot of sessions on wellness. And I say wellness, not about the typical mental health wellness workshops, which are there, but more of forum for people to express themselves. So these were modeled on a certain, all of you know that basically where people feel comfortable to express themselves. And these were like-minded people, those who are living alone or who had a challenge, or some people based on interest. So poetry is an interest, so they came together. So I mean, I can go on, but there were many forums for people to feel safe, secure, appreciated, and also acknowledged.
Okay. Sir, can I ask one more question? There is one from Arindam Saha. I want to put it. It's like, and it's quite interesting question. He said that many companies had to go for job cut. And is it something which is related that they were poor in manpower planning and because of that they had to go through job cut, or like what is the relationship?
So some crises, especially like this, job cuts were inevitable because it's like this, and it's a simple. If I run a business of let's say $1 million, and I have an associate cost of $200,000, and my 1 million comes down to $500,000, my 200 will be put under severe pressure. So it's a simple math. If I can't get to 1 million, and $500,000 is such a huge gap that cannot be overcome anytime soon. So
So it's not like the $500,000 that it is deferred, it is gone.
It's gone forever. So it's like contraction of economy. Because of this contracting economy, certain things will never come back. They may come back in some manner and form, maybe a year later or 2 years later, but for now they have gone. So many shops might close down. They may never open up. We'll not even come to know. So that was inevitable. But the only thing we can do in this and bring, and this is where you have to think like, how if I and some of us are fortunate, I still have a job, some haven't. I would also say that it could be me on the other side, and how would I want someone else to treat me in a situation like that when my job is impacted? I think that's the same policy I would follow. I've always followed when I'm speaking to someone or our team is speaking to someone. So we spent days to prepare ourselves, because no amount of preparation can make you converse to someone whose job you are taking away. It's the hardest thing to do. All you can do is do it with as much respect and dignity and taking care of as many things as you can. Obviously, you can't give back, you can't give all the money that is needed to survive rest of life. That cannot happen. That may not be possible. But given the circumstances, what best you can do. So the whole thing boils down, and we were not afraid, by the way. Whenever we had those discussions, our cameras were on. We were prepared, even if it gets recorded, because everyone was scared that, oh, how will we deal with it? People will record. So they can record, because what I'm going to say is not something that I am going to be ashamed of myself if it gets posted into a social media. So I'm confident I will keep my camera on. I will look in the eyes of the person and say what I have to say, but I will say in a way where even if it gets posted on social media, though not that I want to go head on and invite people to put it. Of course, we did put our caveats in place. We did ask people not
that it is an individual discussion between, let's say it is between this and that. It is not like a public forum discussion.
And look at how difficult it is. I'm talking to someone who's sitting in their living room, drawing room, bedroom, where some other family members will be there. It was very, very difficult for our own team and our business leaders who were with us. So the business managers or the managers of an associate who was losing job, or the HR team, and it was such massive exercise that it's not going to. And that time you need healing touch, and I can only say that for HR team we had to make sure that everyone comes back and talks to in a group every day evening. It's otherwise it's difficult. Nobody likes to do those kind of conversations. Nobody enjoys those conversations. But that's a job that has to be done, and has to be done with dignity and respect.
Dignity and respect. I have like 3-4 more questions, but we are running out of time. We have only 1 minute left. So as a conclusive thing, I would like to ask just one more question. Where do you see this situation, the current COVID situation that is now, where do you see it heading? So now here I'm asking you to be the fortune teller for us. And what do you think, like for organizations, if they have to kind of be more prepared in future for this kind of thing, or any similar crisis or anything? First, where you are seeing this thing heading from business and from human point of view? And secondly, what we can do today in order to be prepared for tomorrow?
So the first one is I'm an optimist. I believe in possibilities. I'm hopeful. I expect the world to get better from here. So it can only get better from here. It can't go worse than this. So for sure it will improve. Then there are some logical reasons for it, and that's because I personally track these. The vaccine situation is much more positive for India in particular, and for the world in general. But here, because more for India, so that's a positive sign. Though as we speak, the surge, third wave, second wave is happening, but maybe in a month or two, but the healthcare is also more responsive to the pandemic. So there are more cases where. And again, that jury probably is out. We should not comment, but hopefully it'll get better from there. So organizations will definitely learn. People will learn. Individuals will learn. It's not that this is going to go away. Of course, it's and in my own way of looking at 2020 is the best teachers we have. I think we saw our own teachers in this session. So. And we always remember our teachers, and 2020 is also a teacher, so we will remember and we'll learn. So I'm quite hopeful that people will be more responsible and want to, especially around environment, ecology, and also thinking about people who are less privileged, especially in a country like India, because that's where it went wrong.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. And thank you for coming to this forum. Thank you for sharing your experience. And such Satish actually put it far better than me. He said like it is a heart to heart, mind to mind and hand to hand. So he did not only talk about, what should, and also like, thinking, feeling, action are aligned. So I could see the, Bhagavad Gita and the concept of Gyan, Bhakti and Karma happening at the same time. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, there are a couple questions which I deliberately did not ask because I think, Rakesh sir, please forgive me for that. I did not ask your question, but then I did not ask thinking that you can always directly connect to Mahipal sir and ask that. So I got little mischievous there. Thanks a lot. It was a joyful discussion, and I'm sure that my forum members will get a lot of benefit from that. Just to let you know and to ask for your formal permission, what we plan to do is that, and that's what we do with all videos, we share it in our forum so it reaches to wider audience. And also sometimes we create clips of it with question and answer. And we keep it in our, it is member only section where members can go and see those questions and they can see like how, let's say leaders in HR, how they are thinking about those questions, what they are saying. So it would be there. So I would need your formal permission for that.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day. And
thank you.
We'll see you again. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all for joining and asking questions, participating. It was amazing to see. And I feel now super energized. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.